Hello, everybody. Tools for succession management. This is what we will be talking in this presentation, the understanding and the application of succession management in this videos, perhaps. So, one major question that should always bother the top management of an organization is how employees are aging. How critical is the workforce age is all about it. In what state of affairs the organization needs to look for a new breed of leaders to take on to the mantle of the leadership altogether. So we need to have a culture for succession, key elements, key steps in succession management, in planning perhaps, and how do we go across with it. This is what we are looking forward to. Now let us understand as the developing of culture of succession, what are the key elements thereby. First and foremost thing is the vision, mission, context, trends, and requirements of the customers, as the case might be. We are talking about vision, we are talking about goals, we are talking about mission, we are talking about strategic direction, the execution part of it. We are talking about the context, we are talking about the competitors, we are talking about the industry trends, we are talking about the customer preferences. That is what succession planning is all about. It's a workforce, it's a need, it's a gap analysis, if I may say so. It is always focused on critical leadership positional functional head, without which the company does operate, but with hiccups. It does not works very smoothly. So let us look into the staff development, their retention strategies, and how can we retain competent and talented employees in our organization. One of the major tools is training, technical training, professional skill training, management and leadership training, time and again, giving them the input, motivating them, keeping them abreast with the latest technology, latest procedures, latest operation state by the various organization per se, and that is what we should be looking for it. Now, how do we go across and what needs to be done? First and foremost is that knowledge transfer that should always take place, and it should be a continuous effort, like through coaching, through career development, through portfolio management. Now, the levels of succession planning, if we go around it and if you look into it, this is what exactly is happening around here. This is the process that takes place, right? This is the process. We are just going from the bottom, as in the individuals, then comes the programs, the functional areas, and the epitome of the organization as the top fellow that needs to be done, and the top management, the board of governors, and so on and so forth. So these are the levels of succession planning that needs to be taken place in an organization. We need to continuum of succession process, and I just got a matrix for you to understand. On the matrix, if you look into it, we are trying to identify five questions out here of identifying the successor. What are the development that is required, the level of understanding, the recruitment selection procedures, the Ivy League background, the pedigree of the people, and how long I've been working for a companies. If you can relate to these five questions, then probably we can fit it into the replacement planning, succession planning, or succession management altogether. This is exactly what we should be looking out here. Are we talking about replacement planning? So we need to answer the question of identification. Yes. Succession planning. Yes. Yes. Little or none for development of successors, and try to figure out the problems out here. And if you look out here, is this to be required? Recruitment and selection? Probably not, because you are looking for a new blood, new face. So, or a new job perhaps. There are this person, nobody has been replaced as such. New vacancies has been created. Retention, do we continue with the job? Probably yes. We need not answer these questions as such, or you should be trying to figure out these answer to these four quadrant time and again, and so that you can come along with it. That is what we are looking for it. So essentially focus is on succession management, combining succession planning and leadership development of high potential leadership pipeline, or probably the talent pool that we are aspiring to come up with it. And that is the requirement of the day. It's combination of planning, combination of development of leaders, combination of high potential employees that is there in an organization. This is a potent cocktail, potent force for your companies for a future growth, which will drive future growth. So it's a deliberate and systematic effort. Yes, it's a project leadership requirement. It identifies a pool of high potential candidates, develop leadership competencies in those candidates through intentional experiences, lateral experiences, perhaps a real life experiences that we goes around it. What is meant by real life? Where the person is exposed to a situation where he or perhaps she has to deal with it. In the lateral experiences, this situation is again exposed to this person, but probably he or she is not dealing it directly, and he or she is watching their mentor handling the situation, the lateral experiences that comes around it. This is all about leadership competencies that we're trying to develop. Select leaders from the main among the pools of potential leader. The focus is typical successor for the top management level. For the organization, it's a robust approach that requires an organizational culture that sees the value of the talent development, understand how it integrates into daily operation, and so on and so forth. Succession management is a long-term strategic initiative that ensures that the right staffs are there in the right place at the right time and opportune time. It ensures the continued effective performance of an organization by establishing a process to develop and probably replace key staff over a period of time. And there are no lacunae as far as talent pool is concerned. The talent pool is always ready to take the mantle of leadership. And this is what a vibrant succession management is all about. It, remember, succession management doesn't come only once in a blue moon, only once for a position. It is a continuous effort, and it should be there in the culture of the organization, so that there is no dearth of uh, talent in the company. Now, you need to answer certain key questions that will enable you to understand the organization philosophy. Who will move to the key position when somebody retires? This particular person might be chief executive officer. This particular person might be chief financial officer. This particular person might be the person who is managing your technologist, and so on and so forth. So you need to answer who, when particular person retire. Let's say somebody could move into any of these director position. If he or she accepts it, who will replace him? So one of your key employees leaves your company for a greener pastures. Now, how do we go around? Is this best position for somebody else to look after him, this skill set? You need to answer, you need to figure out, you need to come without. You should not be found dumbfounded for certain questions, such questions in an organization that will only keep the organization on the back foot. How do we keep improving from leaving a particular job, getting into not getting in promotion because of any kind of misconception that comes around it? If an organization carries out a succession management correctly, it will have a talent pool of individual prepared to step into management and other critical position left vacant because of retirement and general attrition, as the case might be. Development of succession management plan is all about identification of high potential, leadership development of highest potential that comes around it, other staff development activities, knowledge transfer strategies as on when on required, recruitment and selection strategies, accountability to monitor the progress that is required, that has been given, and how do we come across with it. We need to understand these succession management plans all together time and again. Let me give you four phases. First, finalize the scope, understand the approach. Now, how do we do it? When you contextualize the current situation and probably figure out what you are actually trying to achieve. Phase number two is, so first is the setting of your objectives phase, right? Phase number two is all about what is prevalent in the company. Gather the data, analyze the skill set that your employees have. What are the skill set that is missing, and how do you intend to fill it up? What study that gap analysis. Phase number three is where you start executing your plan, the succession management plan, where you are prioritizing everything, probably trying to fix the urgent requirement, urgent issues, looking at the longer goal rather than the shorter goals. Is all about leadership development. It is all about retention strategies and recruitment strategies thereby. Phase number four is to implement. probably yes, and executed the plan as on a particular date perhaps. So we will talk about phase number one, which is step one, ensure support from the top management. Step two, understand the situation, the prevalent situation within the company, outside the company, within the industry, outside in the society. Understand and contextualize it. Step number three is understanding your direction, your end objective, your requirement for future, and how do you want to fulfill it. That is where the implication for leadership would be coming around it. Step number four is to determine the scope of your plan, your activities, as the case might be. Succession management planning. Phase two, what are we looking at? Analyze your data, the people, the demography of the employees that is working with you. Try to figure out their age, try to figure out their experiences, try to figure out their priorities, their motivation level. Try to understand when the new leadership should take into the mantle of the organization. Step number two is to determine those hotspot that requires urgent attention, and obviously fill up those gap analysis. Now look at the workforce tool analysis. What I've just trying to give it to you out here is something which is mentioned. If you look at it, the number of people in different functions, these are functional areas. This can be one, this can be two, this can be three, right? One can be marketing, one can be operation, one can be finance, and so on and so forth. The total number of employees you need to put it out here, absolutely yes. But of that total number of employees, can you bifurcate on the basis of age? Now, if you look at it on the basis of age, this is what becomes the total things, and this is the people who should be highlighted because they have potential to work for the company for another 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, depending upon their physical abilities. But if you still end up focusing on 60 plus employees, probably they might vanish, or they might stop working for you, or the effectiveness of the work can diminish over a period of time. So need to understand those gap analysis of demography. That is what we are looking out here. Similarly, it can be done on the same thing on different location, different functions, as the case might be. It can be location A, B, C, D. We can be have different resignations, projections, availability, different scope. What are the various scope that comes around it? What are the future demands? What are you anticipating? How does it comes around it? You will have to figure out the matrices. Is it a question mark, or is it a star performer out here? Now if you look into it, how to go around, you need to understand. So develop your leadership bench. Identify, I repeat, high potential. Identify people who can deliver the goods. Remember, individuals who at various point of their careers perceive to be a potential successor to a higher organization level. Importance of learning is the vital requirement between those with high potential and those with less than high potential. What is important? The urge to learn, to urge to improve, and so on and so forth. Learning agility as demonstrated by performer over a longer period of time in a variety of assignment is the best way to determine the individual as high potential. General high potential employees are result driven. They understand the challenging assignments. They are have people skills. That is what the influences, motivates, work with a wide range of people. They have mental ability, have street smarts, and ask insightful question. Use integrated thinking, link ideas, understand the essence of problem. They are essentially people who are flexible, who can adjust priorities, take risk, embrace change. Now, what are we looking at high potential employees? They not only result driven, they are also people friendly. They have a cognitive ability of a higher end. They have integrated thinking in terms of emotional intelligence. They are flexible. They are a bunch of energies. They have a sound technical background, and probably they are the man for the companies as far as mission, vision, goals, and objectives are concerned. Now, this is what should be defined as high potential employees. Now, if you have to go around a blended learning to develop such high potential employees, how do we go out here? We can train them, we can coach them, we can mentor them, we can provide opportunities for learning, electronic learning, classroom learning. So there are plentiful of opportunities out in the world for people to pick up the skills in terms of program knowledge and attributes. We can have network development, we can have exchange program, we can have an exposure with the senior mentorship or stewardship all together with people, and they can mimic what the mentor has been doing and how they're operating. So there is a case of coaching, mentoring, self-study, job shadowing as is when on basis as required. So if we look into it, we are talking about training and development. Before I wind up this presentation, see how it has been changed way back approximately 60, 70, or should I say 75 years back. We were talking about I learned the hard way, as in the theories that were taught in the schools were the only holy grail out there, the school of hard knocks, younger generation spoiled by too many choices. That's 3% of traditionally left in jobs. Absolutely. And this is diminishing. And I have been very optimistically promising you 3%. It should be less than around 1%. But 4664 is train them too much and they might leave. Why? Because they pick up the skills and they will employ it somewhere else to earn more bucks. Training is a perk in which they get ahead in the situation. Approximately 15% of them, the boomers, would leave job because of lack of training opportunity. So you need to train them, and you need to maintain a balance as far as flexibility is concerned, because people in this age group will get trained, will acquire skills, and they might fly off to a greener pastures altogether, greener facilities, other organization. You don't train them, they will again leave because there are no lack of opportunities. But people from 1965 or the generation X to 1981, they, the more they learn, the more they stay. They have a sense of loyalty that comes around it out here, constantly developing portfolio of skills. They will adapt to rapid changes. That's approximately 30% of X, generation X left in the job. Yes. And look at it, what we are talking about, the present generation, somewhere who are working at around the middle age of 40, they are continuously learning, because to them either they learn or they perish, expecting ongoing training as on when on basis. There is a stiff competition, constant retooling to fit the ever changing work. Now this is what needs to be understand, is TBD, to be decided upon it as per the programs people work around, and they have personal preferences rather than any other reasons to change or switch jobs perhaps. So that's the requirement. Ideally, I should give you a training or design a training for 3 to 2 days of training with probably two regional or top management follow up in between the session. This is what I believe is ideally situation. 2 or 3 days training with in between two regional meetings every half an hour, every biannually, should I say, every 6 months or biannually, as the case might be. You can have external consultant coming around it. They can be from the state or local committee. They can take anything on the leadership's issues. A glorifying example would be something which I've already tried to tell it to you in session one. If I say so, is all about self leadership. In session 2 it can be leading others and probably leading with the community. Session 1, 2, 3 is been the end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end. I'm sure everybody is aware of what succession planning and how we should we go around it. Thank you once again.